one of the big moments from tonight's debate not only revolved around how well the candidates would react to Russia's President Vladimir Putin, but also how well they know the enigmatic leader.
If Putin wants to go in, and I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. We were stablemates, and we did very well that night. But you know that. But if Putin wants to go and knock the hell out of ISIS, I am all for it, 100%. We can't continue to be the policeman of the world. We owe $19 trillion. We have a country that's going to hell.
We're not going to be the world's policeman, but we sure as heck better be the world's leader. There's a huge difference where without us leading, voids are filled.
Mr. Trump ought to know that we should not speak to people from a position of weakness. I would not be talking to Vladimir Putin right now, although I have met him as well, not in a green room for a show, but in a private meeting.
Joining me now, Marc Thiessen, a Fox News contributor, and he served as President George W. Bush's chief speechwriter, and Bill Burton, who served as White House deputy press secretary under President Obama. Good to see you both. Marc, what did you think of tonight?
I thought that was a very interesting exchange. It was, Jeb Bush had a much better debate this time around, but I'm not sure that that was a turning point that was not good for him, because there was that point where he says, if Putin wants to go in and kick the hell out of ISIS, what do we care? And he started to jump in and say, and he was trying to say they're not actually hitting ISIS, but then when it got to his turn, he never said it. He never said that when you say we've got to do nation building here at home, that's Barack Obama's line.
He seems to struggle to really land the punches, right? I mean, he seems to struggle to really land the punches. And for that matter, a lot of Twitter was talking about how when they watch Dr. Carson talk about foreign policy, it's like a white knuckle affair. Like, oh God, is he going to finish the answer? Is it? I'm not sure. There isn't a projection of confidence by some of these candidates, at least when it comes to foreign policy, Marc. That's your area of expertise.
No, absolutely, there isn't. And what was unfortunate about it was that Bush's answer was so bad. And then Carly Fiorina jumped in, and then Marco Rubio came in and basically gave the answer that Bush should have given and did it much better than he did. So in the competition, if Bush seems to think that he's in competition with Rubio, Rubio really shined, not just on that, but generally in the debate.
Well, Rubio and Cruz are said to have had a very strong night. What did you make of it, Bill, as a Democrat?
Well, I have to agree that I think Rubio did have a strong night in a lot of different ways. But when you really look at what these candidates are saying, Rubio, Fiorina, Trump, their answers are so divorced from facts. I think that if you translate what's happening on stage here to what's going to happen in the general election, it's going to be a very different thing, and it's going to be very tough for these nominees. Like, for example, Fiorina saying, I didn't just meet Putin in a green room. She did meet him in a green room.
Okay, now stand by
Donald Trump saying,
stand by that. I want to show people that moment because she sort of took a shot at Trump about, you met him in the green room. I know him, kind of. So here's what happened, and then here's a clip of her on Fallon not long ago.
I would not be talking to Vladimir Putin right now, although I have met him as well, not in a green room for a show, but in a private meeting.
Where did you meet?
I met him in Beijing. Yeah. We were in sort of a green room setting, actually.
Bill, how does that happen?
Amazing. It's amazing. But the other amazing thing there is that when Trump said that he got to be buddies with Putin in a green room, he'd actually, first of all, 60 Minutes doesn't have a green room. Second of all, they were in different countries when they did those interviews.
With different interviewers.
Right, exactly.
You know, I was on Twitter,
I don't know what kind of relationship
somebody had one of the lines of the night on Twitter when they were saying, really Carson could have won that entire exchange over Putin if he had just said, I tried to stab Putin. I've been laughing about for 3 hours now. It's very funny. All right, so first of all, Marc, that Carly moment, the green room, she talked to Putin for 45 minutes in a green room overseas, and they're both going to give a speech. So she did have a substantive exchange with him. Does it matter? Because you just know that Trump is getting ready to just on that.
Well, I don't think Trump is, for exactly the reason that Bill just said. I mean, in that interview that they did on 60 Minutes, he said we were in a stable together. Charlie Rose flew to Moscow to interview Donald Trump.
Had dinner with him?
So they weren't even in this. How did he say? He said, I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. How did he get to know him when they were in different cities?
It's the same way you two guys got to know Howie and Chris really well tonight. Because you watched their segment in the A Block.
Exactly.
Aren't you feeling close?
It's a legitimate question whether Donald Trump has ever met Vladimir Putin.
All right.
I don't know that that's true. Somebody ought to ask him.
Let me ask you this. So we heard Chris Arwalt say he just thinks Kasich did terribly, and Twitter is saying he did terribly. But, Bill, you think Kasich did well.
Yeah, you know, my view is that in order to get airtime, you've got to be aggressive. And when you're aggressive, it comes off as a little hot. The problem for him is that he was so aggressive, it probably was a little too hot for the medium. And Carly Fiorina, who's also aggressive, I think did not come off quite as hot. So I think that Kasich got more airtime, which is good, but I think that it wasn't all good airtime that he got.
I know why Bill liked Kasich, because Kasich came out against for raising the minimum wage, said the tax cuts were too big, wants to keep 11 million illegal immigrants here, and he defended the bank bailout. So he really looked like he was debating in the Democratic debate. So I think, you know, Bill, if he challenges Hillary, maybe you're up for grabs.
Bill's ready to vote for him. Let me ask you this. So this is
This
is another exchange that I know jumped out to you, Bill, as one of the most important of the night. Let's watch it. It's Rubio and Rand Paul.
Is it conservative to have $1 trillion in transfer payments, a new welfare program that's a refundable tax credit? Add that to Marco's plan for $1 trillion in new military spending, and you get something that looks to me not very conservative.
And yes, I do want to rebuild the American military.
How's it conservative?
I know that Rand is a committed isolationist. I'm not. We can't even have an economy if we're not safe. There are radical jihadists in the Middle East beheading people and crucifying Christians. A radical Shia cleric in Iran trying to get a nuclear weapon. The Chinese taking over the South China Sea. Yes, I believe the world is a safer... No, I don't believe. I know that the world is a safer and better place when America is the strongest military power in the world.
You did not hear a lot of deafening cheers like that throughout the night, Bill.
No, it was good for the debate because it was actually a moment of substance where two of the candidates were talking about two different wings of the Republican Party, and viewers could actually see what the debate is. But again, like I was saying about Rubio, this is classic Marco Rubio, where he says something that sounds good, but is so wildly out of whack when he says, you can't have an economy if you're not safe. Is it really on the table that we're not going to have an economy? Like, you also cannot have trees if there's not the sun. But the sun is going to keep coming up. You know, it's like when Joe Biden said the world literally changed direction when Barack Obama was elected president. Not really.
Marco,
you know, it's like, okay,
yeah,
Marco.
I think Bill probably, if he's being honest, Marco Rubio is probably the guy that he's the most worried about facing Hillary Clinton in a debate.
And Hillary, we should say to the audience, Hillary's team is reportedly getting ready to unleash some serious Oppo research on Marco, and he's going to take some hits from her.
I'm sure they are. I mean, if you just look at the way Marco Rubio debated, the way he speaks, he's a rare talent in terms of communicating very complicated ideas in ways that people can understand. I mean, he explained the minimum wage by saying, you know, why are we against raising the minimum wage? Because it would cause us to replace people with machines. I mean, that's just such a simple, clear way of making that issue clear. He can take on Hillary Clinton and win. And the generational picture of a young Marco Rubio looking like a young JFK against Hillary Clinton's Richard Nixon would be really hard for her to take.
Great to see you both. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.